Welcome, everyone. Well, today I have a great guest. I know we've done a lot of podcasts on situational awareness and tactics. And today I thought, you know what we need to find out is get some of these providers on the show, right? We learned about how to secure your home. We had some of the best out there. Raul Martinez was on the other day talking about CQB and home defense. And we ended up talking about windows and glass and people smashing them. And we've seen these with the latest riots. So I thought, you know what? I better find somebody who works in this. I found a great person. It's riotglass.com. His name is Brad Campbell. He's been in the security glass business for more than 25 years. In addition to Riot Glass, Brad provides consulting services for schools, municipalities, law enforcement, and private businesses nationwide. And we get a chance to talk to him right now. Let's not waste any more time and welcome to the show, Mr. Campbell. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here. Again, this is really interesting because it's the other side of situational awareness. We talk a lot about things we should be doing, what happens if it's too late, and you have to defend yourself, but how do you prepare your home? But before we get into all that, tell us a little bit about how you got into this business.
I moved to California right out of high school, pursuing a music career, and didn't take long to realize how tough that business was, and I needed to start a side gig, and also something that would buy me more time for my sort of dual endeavors in business and music. So I started a window film business, and at the time we were doing cars and things like that, but it didn't take long for us to sort of find.
All right, we lost you for a second there. So you said you're in the music business and then you went into this?
Yeah, I was looking, we needed to have a backup plan. Thankfully, I started a business and we were doing a lot of automotive in the beginning and quickly found that I had an affinity for security. A lot of government buildings and GSA leasing directives will include window film for bomb blast mitigation. And it was originally invented for that purpose. It's great as a sort of a catch net on the inside of the glass. When there's a blast, we have a very large pressure event, and then there's immediately followed by a suction, and then the event's over. But when it's been adapted over the years for force entry, and it's not as effective. It's good at sort of scaring away an opportunist type crime. Someone picks up a rock and throws it. The glass doesn't explode into the building the way that they expect, and then may run off. But now we're seeing much more, dare I say, sophisticated attacks where we have multiple attackers with heavy tools. They're coming in a coordinated effort. Multiple cars pull up. The guys jump out. They attack. They just overwhelm the storefront or home or whatever it is they're attacking, government building, and they're in very quickly. Take care of what they need to do, and they're going on statistical data that they'll get in and out before police have a chance to arrive. And in most cases that they're successful at that, because unless you have a patrol car right down the street, then it just takes a little bit of transit time, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. It's plenty of time for them to get in and do what they need to do. And window films weren't really good at that. We like to say, you spend $20, $25 a square foot for an attached window film, a good quality attached window film. And by attached, I mean we're mechanically or with a Dow 995 wet attachment at the edge to hold the broken glass into the frame. You're getting about $1 a second with window film. A sophisticated attacker, even with thick 15 mil and even thicker, they're going to puncture through, and that goes the same for regular laminated glass. So unfortunately, we specialize in fenestration. This is any hole in a building, a door, a vent, a window. That's it. We stay in our lane. We work with other consultants that are doing perimeter security and physical, armed security. We just focus on the windows. That's where we really shine. We really understand this and what works and what doesn't work. We've done an enormous amount of testing on all our system, both in real life events and in the laboratory. And so we evolved. We found a hole in the market where window films were too weak. Their guys are getting in way too quickly, as we've seen in all the riot footage. This glass laying, it's folded over. You can tell there's an inner layer of film because of the way it's doubled over and folded up and out of the way. And then ballistic glass, which is way too heavy, way too expensive to retrofit into an existing building in most cases, unless it's a government agency. So in between, there was this big void. We needed something that was aesthetically very pleasing and hard to detect, but the very small visual footprint doesn't encroach into the visible daylight opening very much. We don't want to affect line of sight. It needs to be, we want to be fortified, but we don't want to look fortified. So we came up with a polycarbonate panel, special 80 micron, very scratch resistant, long lasting armor-plast polycarbonate panel and our patented framing system, and we can adapt to almost any building, any architecture of any age, any glass type, annealed, tempered, heat strengthened, you name it. If we are very good at adapting our systems onto a retrofit onto an existing building.
So that brings up a lot of questions for me, Brett. So one of the things that pops up in my head is you mentioned the ballistic type of windows, and sometimes people want to go that route. I'm not sure, is that overkill a lot of times, do you think, in for certain companies, or is it actually appropriate for the area? Is it context driven? What's going on with that?
It's really just a matter of whether or not it's the budget is there for it. It's expensive, it's heavy. If we're going above ground level, there may be mechanical reinforcement to the superstructure of the building that might be necessary if it wasn't designed for that load. So there's a lot that goes into ballistic glass. When we developed the AP25 or the armor-plast system for force entry, active shooter was one of the things that was top on our list. We wanted to be able to keep an armed intruder outside of the building. Now, while the system doesn't stop a bullet, you can riddle it with bullets, and it still maintains integrity as a containment grade or an access denial system. It's got holes in it, but you still can't break through. You can't get a hand through to trip the panic egress hardware. So we tested it with 7.62 rounds in laboratory type condition, very, very precise, testing at certain range and foot per second, grain weight and everything. And then we proceeded to tack it with sledgehammers and rocks and everything else to make sure that even though it had bullet holes in, we still could not get in the building. And everyone says, well, it's really unfortunate if someone happens to be standing on the other side of the glass, and that's true. But it's a lot less fortunate if the intruder gets into the building and is now actively hunting through room to room. This is a complete and total utter failure and a disaster. If we can keep them outside, at least we're allowing people to run, hide, call 911, and barricade into a room without an intruder trying to then get into that classroom. So we think the opportunity there is for a low cost, something that schools can afford, and something that's easy to retrofit onto their existing glass without changing the structure and the closers and the hinges. And so for that reason, it's been quite successful in schools, but now has mainly been adapted with the riots and everything to retail and government. We're doing courthouses and capitol buildings all around the country. So if you really absolutely positively need to keep someone out of the building, this is the same containment grades technology that's used to keep people in rooms and psychiatric wards and holding facilities. But we just turned it around and put it on the outside of the building.
And that's an important part too, because I'm assuming, situational awareness techniques, one of the important parts is being able to see inside. So if you can see inside a retail store, if you see inside a liquor store, you can see if there's bad activity. You can call the cops if you're walking by. So they really don't want to switch into one of these completely wooden doors where you can't see anything inside, because that'd be problematic. So I can see a lot of business there. Do you do a lot of business with liquor stores or anything of that nature?
Oh yeah, we do quite a few grocery stores, liquor stores, shoe stores, optometry, anything that has that's lightweight that you can grab a lot of it and it has high street value. Pharmacies, these are all, and dispensaries and cultivation centers are big targets. That's taken off like wildfire. So we're doing several of those. Mostly it's retail, gas stations, convenience stores. There's another element to it as well, that roll down shutters and gates, although they can be effective, they're often breached. People don't realize that a pry bar, you can pop those open, and we see that in the footage of the riots all the time where they're popping those open. So ours is in place full time. There's no procedure for the store staff to botch. They don't have to close anything. They just have to lock the door like they normally would. And the bad guys can't break through and wrap a chain around and pull the storefront or the scissor gates off. It prevents them from being able to get anything through. If you wrap a chain around the pull handles, you'll just rip the pull handles off. It doesn't necessarily open the doors or breach the doors. So but for all those reasons, if there's an active shooter, for example, and believe it or not, a lot of our retail clients are mentioning that they're concerned about roving gangs of roaming gangs of people coming with firearms during the day, during business hours, and they want to be able to lock the door and go into the back room and basically, hopefully, not be an easy target. So for that reason, it's gaining really in popularity very quickly as a very versatile way to fortify storefront glass, even large openings.
Like you mentioned a minute ago, if you give that extra 10, 20, 30 seconds, that can make a big difference for that individual. Can get them to that back room, make a phone call. Let me ask you this, Brad. What tips would you give to civilians for their homes? What products do you offer? Again, you can find this at riotglass.com. I'm not getting anything for this, folks. This is all for you. I'm not getting a cut, not getting a percentage of it at all. What do you offer for civilians at their home?
Fire egress is always a top of mind. We're not going to put anything on windows that would prevent someone from being able to get out. So commercial and residential fire code is very different. We get this all the time commercially. We won't put anything on that would change the normal fire egress that the fire department would approve for a commercial building. For homes, however, we need to be able to have that really quick panic egress. So our security screens are extremely popular for homes. Sometimes if we have annealed glass, we'll use window film, but on anything that's tempered, especially floor to ceiling glass that's tempered, and it will be tempered if it gets anywhere near the floor, sliding glass doors and such, that's just a suggestion. That's basically saying, please don't come in. Anyone that hits that with any hard object is immediately into your home. Window film does not work with tempered glass at all. You just have a big bag of gravel glued together now, and that just crumbles out of the frame, even with an attachment system. So security screens are a stainless steel mesh with a framing system that has a panic egress bar on the side, which you cannot access from the outside, only from the inside. So even in a panic, if someone's just pressing on there, they'll manage.
So you were saying, so even if they panic, they were able to unlock a latch inside?
Yeah, it's a panic bar. So it's the full length of the window, either width or height, depending on where the hinge is for that particular window arrangement. And so they can, kids, children, elderly, anyone that's blinded by smoke, whatever, can get out of the building. And that's the key thing, is we want something that's extremely difficult to get through from the outside, but very easy to get out of from the inside. And so it's a tall order, but they're very well made, and they work very well. Very high demand on those right now.
And they knife proof, I guess?
Yeah, knife proof. It's a stainless steel mesh that's powder coated black. So if you look at it really closely, you can see that it's thicker than a typical fiberglass screening. But you can kick it, smash it, sledgehammer, you name it. This stuff it'll bend, it'll dent if you hit it really hard, but you can't cut through it.
What about homes that have like little windows on their doors, or they'll have windows on the sides of the doors? Do you do anything for those small windows?
Well, usually for those windows are not generally seated in there very well. We'll have wooden stops, something of that nature, that would be easy to just smash that in. So you can't really put anything on there that's going to stop that. What we do instead is we put a door. So one of our security screens in a door configuration, which has sort of an upper and lower parrot beak type of a latching system that locks the top and bottom. The hinges are tamper proof. And then, it's kind of a European locking system. We put that over the entire door because, doors, unless you reinforce the hinges and done quite a bit of work to reinforce your door jamb, anyone, even a person of small stature, can take a few steps back and run and sort of just kick that door right in. So with the security screens on the door and our side lights, we use our Armorplast Riot Glass AP25 system to cover the small side lights. And that's usually how doors. Now the screens come in all different colors. So there's actually 9 different colors. So they blend in. People are always a little concerned, but once they go through our website and start looking at all the different high-end homes with the screens on, they get really comfortable with it quick. It looks very nice, even on very high-end French doors. So most people accept them and really quite like them. They're great for, dogs, keeping dogs in from the Amazon guy and that type of thing. So they're multi-purpose, but mostly they're designed to keep out what we like to say is bugs and thugs.
So that's a big door. That's a door window. for the door. You got a whole door screen is what you're saying for that one.
Whole door, yeah. So you can leave your door open if you want the cross breeze, and you have a door that doesn't look like one of those really tacky metal,
Oh yeah,
designs
bars and everything.
Yeah, it's just a solid mesh screen, so you can still see through. You can see your beautiful ornate, door, if you have one. So for all those reasons, people seem to like them quite a bit.
I forgot to add. I forgot if she's mentioned this before. My apologies, but are you guys still doing cars?
No, actually, we have a lot of demand for that, but that's really quite a complicated thing, especially with timber. You really need to pull the glass out and replace it with a, most glass on the sides and the rear of cars is tempered, so there's really no security there at all. Windshields are laminated always by code, but the sides are not. So we leave that to the guys that armor cars, and it's expensive and it's not easy to do. So the average person can't really afford to armor their vehicle.
That's interesting because I know there was a post where the guy was showing a product. I think it was in Brazil, and he was hammering the side of the glass, and nothing was happening. But then the officers immediately jumped in and said, "Well, that's cool for the outside, but if you get stuck, like you mentioned earlier for the egress issue, if you get your stuck, you can't get out of the car through the window either."
Yeah.
So that was an interesting problem that you mentioned earlier. Anything else, Brad? Again, folks, you can find them at riotglass.com. So if you own a small business, if you want to secure your home, look, there's a lot of things happening right now, a lot of protesting. Some of them are going into suburban areas. So if you want to feel a little bit safer, this might be a great option for you. And again,
we have a national footprint, so we have dealers all around the country. We do large retail rollouts. Right now we're doing hundreds of stores all around the country. And so the best thing to do is just give us a call and we'll take a look at your property. We do a little quick Google Street View drive around, and we can, all that consulting is free. So we'll just encourage people to, check out the website, give us a call, and let us kind of walk you through the process.
One more question I forgot before we went through. If you have a patio in the back, you have those big sliding glass doors, are you able to do a screen for that? That's a pretty big.
Yeah, the screens come in multiple configurations and the screens, by the way, are on our sister site, Campbell, campbellcorp.com, CORP, short for Campbell Corporation, campbellcorp.com. You'll see all of our screens in various configurations. We have a 4-way slider, 2-way slider, 3-way. They're all custom made to fit your home. So they're very fastidiously measured and built specifically for your home. It's about a 4 to 6 week lead time. And we do the installations, and the screens are only in Southern California for us right now. We do not do those nationally. Riot Glass, however, is a national installation footprint for us.
Perfect. Thank you so much again, Brad, for being here. We truly appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on, Carlos.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure if you want to support our podcast to share and subscribe. Hey, if you're on YouTube, you're on the Dr. Carlos Show channel, make sure you hit that little button and the notification bell if you don't want to miss out any of the new episodes. Thanks, everyone, for listening.